Why is symbolism the language of the mysteries? A look at the technology of sacred imagery. A lecture by Stephen Reedy. This was originally part of a fundraiser event celebrating John Augustus Knapp's artwork for the Secret Teachings of All Ages, where 40 original paintings were on display in the Manly P. Hall Library at the Philosophical Research Society in December 2024. Hello, I'm Stephen Reedy, and I'm here to talk about why I think J. Augustus Knapp's paintings are a supreme technology of education. 2 quick seconds about me. I am a contributing scholar at the Philosophical Research Society, where I have 4 online classes about esoteric imagery, and I work in movie marketing, where I get to use symbolism to convince you all to pay money to watch stuff. I think some of the most profound visuals in the world are those done in the collaboration between Manly P. Hall and J. Augustus Knapp. Their illustrations take various esoteric images and ideas from around the world and mix them together to make nutritious, scholastic smoothies of information. Pondering on any of the paintings that they have collaborated to create can open you up to new ideas about the nature of reality, or perhaps how you should move forward in the world if you engage with them correctly. But why and how? To explore this, let's unpack one of Manly Hall's famous quotes. "Symbolism is the language of the mysteries." That's a nice little line in a bumper sticker, Etsy, Pinterest kind of way. But let's really look at it, and perhaps by doing so, we can understand why symbols are a special form of information transmission. So first, what is a symbol? The dictionary says it is artistic imitation that is a method of revealing immaterial ideals or otherwise intangible truths. So they're analogies of sorts. This represents that. Most often, a symbol is a surreal image that, once you learn the basic data behind its creation, becomes a multi-layered metaphor of countless ideas, issues, and ponders. So, what can a symbol do? I am going to show you a powerful modern symbol that is so strong that to some, simply looking at it can conjure up intense feelings of hope and excitement. It's a symbol that screams, the future is going to be f***ing awesome. Let's celebrate. To others, merely glancing at it will uncontrollably blast out rage and fear and worry about culture and what may happen to humanity. This is a symbol I was warned against even using because showing it to some people completely deregulates their emotions, good or bad. But I'm going to do it anyway. Because this symbol is this fella right here. This red hat meant nothing just a few years ago. It was meaningless until it was programmed with specific intellectual data about politics, economics, culture, attitudes, and so on. These pieces of data formed a metaphoric cup, a vessel made of distinct, categorizable ideas. The viewer of the symbol then fills it up with their own waters of life energy. Life energy is often symbolized by water, as water, like energy, is immaterial, abstract, life-giving, and can be poured into ideas of any shape and size, where they are enlivened with the electricities of personal meaning. When the viewer knows what the hat represents, and then looks at it, they are filling it up with their personal life energy. It then becomes alive inside of them, making them very happy or very sad, as it stimulates their imagination to predict what the future may hold, based on their personal theories of what this means for them, the country, the world, and the future of money, freedom, oppression, culture, relationships, and a million more related topics. All of this in a flash because of a single image of a red hat. This brings up question number 3. Why does a symbol have such power? I have a humble little theory, so let's explore it by examining how the human being operates and finding where symbolism may land in that process. Behold, the process of doing a thing. Or maybe pod? Process of doing? Anyways, imagine you're laying on the couch doing nothing, but you have chores to do. Here's what happens. Step 1, your life energy is just sitting there inside of you. It has not become a thought or an emotion or a physical action yet. It is just a water-like, formless, unnameable, unknowable, invisible, not thing. Step 2, your energy then births a feeling of what you should do, a vague, nonverbal impulse. Perhaps this is the anxiety of needing to clean the messy kitchen before guests arrive. Step 3, this feeling becomes an image, an abstract, dreamlike image of the dirty kitchen. Step 4, your intellect then examines this image, dissects what it sees, and turns it into words like, crap, I need to clean the kitchen or else I'll be looked down upon. Or, should I play video games first? Or, where's the mop? Or, is the dishwasher full? Step 5, the judgmental part of your intellect sorts out this mental chatter chaos, filtering it to find what's important. It pitches you an action. You need to unload the dishwasher first, for that opens up the space to do everything else that you need to do. You listen and you agree. Yes, okay, I will do that. Step 6, you physically walk to the dishwasher to unload it. You have taken a specific, categorized, measurable physical action. The end. This entire journey happens in an instant. And now that we understand this process, let's unpack it further. A few things happened in this journey. Notice that the steps on the left are abstract, undefined sensations that become more and more defined and specific. They go from uncategorized potential of anything to nameable, categorizable words and actions. Put another way, the first steps are subjective. They exist only inside of you, and there's no way to share this experience. They then incrementally become more and more objective, observable, and knowable to others. The first steps are pure, undifferentiated potential, waters of life energy itself, that with each step become less and less infinite and become more and more specific. Before you decided to do the dishes, your life energy could have become anything. The idea for your world-changing book, or the action of making a masterpiece marble sculpture. But nope, it became you putting the dishes away, a simple, low-energy task. So the process of doing a thing is a journey of life force energy going from high energy to low energy, from abstract to concrete, from infinite to finite, from pure potential to specific, from indefinable to definable, from immaterial to physical, from imagination to knowledge. And you see Albert here certainly seems to think imagination is more important than knowledge. I wonder why. Let's look into it. In the middle of all of this is the symbol. The symbol touches the intellect, which verbalizes the data involved in the symbol. And it also touches the indefinable energies that power you, that are you, the real you, the life energy that is animating the computers of your mind, body, and emotions. In Eastern tradition, there are symbols called yantras, geometric images that represent how reality works as well as how you work on the subtlest levels. Yantra literally translates to energy machine. But how is this an energy machine? It's an energy machine because symbols like these are meant to be meditated upon, pondered upon. They keep your focus here, between the intellect and the energies that are beyond the intellect, bridging the gap between them, coaxing both of them to activate when you look at it and ask, what does this even mean? We can view the intellectual data of a symbol as the microchip, and your engagement with it as the energy that goes through the microchip, allowing you to compute stuff. In the case of the red hat symbolism, your energy is coaxed to compute possibilities and notions of politics. In the case of marketing symbolism, your energy is coaxed to compute possibilities and notions of how buying sugar water supposedly makes you happy. In the case of esoteric philosophy symbolism, your energy is coaxed to compute possibilities and notions of your energy. These images encourage you to intellectually grasp the formless, unnameable energy that is powering your intellectualizing in the first place. This energy, the energy of life that is theoretically behind you and behind all things, is the mystery of mystery schools. It is the mystery of the quote, symbolism is the language of the mysteries. And so, why is it important to ponder on this mysterious energy? The Upanishads asks, what is it that through which, if it is known, everything else becomes known? And what is that? It is that which is at the root of all things, that which is at the root of ourselves, and that which is at the base of existence itself. We can call it God, or not-thingness, or waters of life. But I have been using a term that Venn diagrams as many worldviews as possible, including atheism. Energy. If matter is slowed down energy, and we are matter filled with energy, then understanding this energy is understanding ourselves. And if the universe is also made of this energy, then learning about ourselves is learning about the universe, and vice versa. Evolution seems to be the process of matter learning to collaborate with energy more and more and more, with increasingly subtle and complex uses. Understanding energy is evolution. Evolution is expansion. Expansion is the ability to hold and understand more and more energy, and hopefully learn to collaborate with it better and better, leading to even more expansion. And so to summarize, symbols help us bridge the gap between the intellect and that which is too big for the intellect until they become friends. They help us hold big concepts more easily. Sacred art from all spiritual worldviews provide this service, be they the crucifix, a furious goddess holding her own head, or the snake eating its own tail. What J. Augustus Knapp has done, especially for the landmark book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, is give us imagery that compiles these ancient notions together, turning them into multi-layered super symbols. Notice, by the way, the Kabbalistic tree of life here is upside down, depicting that its roots are in the waters of life above the physical, sending its energies down to the fragmented leaves below. How clever and on theme. And a great example that if a picture is worth 1,000 words, Knapp's paintings are worth a lifetime of interaction, or lifetimes, if you're into that kind of thing. As we celebrate his works, take everything I have said into account, learn the basics of esoteric symbolism, and then deliberately engage with artwork such as his with open-minded personal curiosity. Use them as a metaphoric mirror to self-examine, self-reflect, and ask questions about how you and the universe might work. While looking at them, ask the big questions. What is the nature of reality, and how are we to best move forward in the world? To enrich your experience looking at deep esoteric symbolism, let's gloss over a few details from a few of J. Augustus Knapp's images. These three tell the same relevant story in different ways. On the left, we see Kundri, a symbol of the Kundalini, aka your raw life energy, after she stops being a servant of an evil wizard who uses her powers for bad. We've all been there. She is now in service of the Grail, the cup that floweth over with the waters of life. She sits at the base of the spear of destiny, or your spine, the same place the kundalini sits like a coiled serpent waiting to rise and energize your blossoming. These other two images depict this blossoming via the rose. Blossomed flowers, be it the lotus of Eastern philosophy or the rose of Western esoteric tradition, represents a harmonizing with the four elements of material reality. Once we harmonize with it and know what kind of plant we are and what kind of environment we, the plant, need to blossom, we willingly engage with the suffering but rewarding activity of growth to blossom. In Eastern tradition, the lotus grows out of the muck below to blossom above in a higher, less dense realm to receive more light. Similar philosophy applies to the rose, but in this case, rose is also a scrambling of the word eros, the Greek god of carnal love and desire. This alludes to the libido energy, your raw life fire of desire and creative action, which can be directed to help you evolve, as shown in this middle image, or climb out of hell, as shown in the image on the right. These are symbols of our force that, of course, help us contemplate the very energies we want to be understanding. By the way, I think it's about right here where music can influence us. You know, the type of music that opens you up and elevates you, hypnotizing the lower parts of yourself and allowing you, at least temporarily, to reach higher levels of being, even if it's just for a few minutes. We all know it. Y'all have that song. Anyways, this picture tells us these inner fires can, along with time and pressure, turn the base dirt of ourselves into a diamond. The diamond is transparent to transcendence. It can let energy flow through it without obstruction or distraction, without electrifying bad habits that can hurt you. We see this another way in the next image. Here we see Mithras as a lion. His orange mane looks like the sun's radiating flames. The sun, like a diamond, can express the fires of life without being destroyed by them. They represent a perfect harmony of a physical object and a non-physical energy. This harmony allows him to rise out of the tomb. The tomb is the cube of matter because its 4 points represent the 4 elements, the ingredients of the material realm, and the 4 directions one can move in third-dimensional time, the realm we are stuck inside of. This image asks the question, can a part of us transcend these limitations? How? And what is beyond these limitations? Perhaps it is her, who we can also see as her, the goddess. Though energy is not gendered, we use the metaphor of a biological female's ability to give birth as a symbol, as she is the not a thing that can give birth to anything. She is a way to visualize the epitome of energy in you and in the universe. She stands on the cube of matter, showing her hierarchy over this feeble little creation that she enlivens with just a little sliver of her power. She is free from the clothing of name and form, as she is before name and form. Her unbounded hair represents that nothing binds her. Her nudity is the naked truth, reality before it is covered by limiting categories and words. She is the all. In front of her is the veil, preventing us from seeing her. We can't see her because she is the energy that is too big for the intellect to understand. The veil represents the limitations of our mind, which cannot fathom her because she is beyond anything the mind can compute. Unless, of course, we use symbolism. Symbolism is the process of draping this veil around her invisible so-called shape. Our intellect cannot see her, but through this metaphorical technology, we can see her shape and say, Well, she's kind of like this. We cannot see the formless energy of life, but through analogy, we can learn to see what it does, and perhaps through this, learn to converse with it. And all of this can be addressed when reading the rest of the quote we have been unpacking. Symbolism is the language of the mysteries. In fact, it is the language not only of mysticism and philosophy, but of all nature, for every law and power active in the universal procedure is manifested to the limited sense perceptions of man through the medium of symbol. Every form existing in the diversified sphere of being is symbolic of the divine activity by which it is produced. By symbols, men have ever sought to communicate to each other those thoughts which transcend the limitations of language. And so, using my limited abilities of language, I will say thank you for listening. Wait! P.S. Bonus side note. This next part was not in the original lecture, but I want to add it. Symbolism can go a step beyond just bridging the gap between the intellect and the higher to aid wisdom in understanding. It might be more than just an educational tool for practitioners of some not exactly scientific paradigms. There's a much more phenomenal use of symbols that is very weird and fringe to even discuss, but it's more common than you may think. Pretty much every spiritual worldview, from the major world religions to the shamanistic, mystic, such and such practices, use symbols as energy machines to bridge the physical and the non-physical in much more phenomenal ways. Sometimes they are the object that directs and collects subtle energies. Sometimes they are the housing of deities and invisible intelligences. Sometimes they call forth specific influences into you or your environment. This is a topic far above my pay grade, but in my researches and experiences, I have found that yantras, sigils, symbolic objects, sacred sites, and even foods can be used to entice or even hold energies that are seemingly above the mundane realm. Are these energies from us? From out there? Both? Neither? A placebo effect that encourages us to fool ourselves to do amazing things that make no sense? If symbols are a way to connect our mundane physical selves to invisible subtle energies, how are they doing it? Are they helping our intellect actually know how to collaborate with them? Are symbols a sort of secret key that hacks into the software of reality? Do they have power because we all agree that they should have power, and thus attract thought forms, egregores, and other lifelike but not alive mental forces created by and upkept by practitioners? Do they attract living energies beyond our understanding, much like how candles attract moths, or crying babies attract mothers, or magnets attract metal? It's fun to ponder, and esoteric traditions from the East and West subscribe to this sort of thing so commonly that you can probably go check one out for yourself near you, if so inclined. Interesting, right? Okay, now I'm done. Bye.